friends, are you ready for the party?
Aren't you a good-looking bunch? Especially you in the back.
Horizons 1 is now departing. Our final destination today...
WDW Radio, your information station.
Hello, my friend, and welcome to the WDW Radio Show, your Walt Disney World information station. I am your host, Lou Mongello, and this is show number 613. I'm here once again, not only to help you have the best vacation experience when you go to the parks, but I also want to bring you some of that Disney magic wherever you are with the podcast, my live video broadcasts on Facebook every Wednesday night, blog, special events, books, audio tours, and more. Whether you're planning your first vacation or love the history, details, secrets, and stories, there's something in the show for you because each week I'm going to take you from the parks to the screens and everything in between. And if you're a new listener, thank you, welcome. Please go back and check out some or all the past episodes for interviews, top 10s, reviews, and more. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and find everything else at WDWRadio.com. So this week, we're going to look at our top 10 celebrity cameos in Walt Disney World attractions, both current and extinct, including some memorable, obscure, and curious ones, and a lot of trivia and fun facts along the way. I'll then have the answer to our last Walt Disney World trivia question of the week, and I'll pose a new challenge for your chance to win an all-new Disney prize package, including a copy of my brand-new Disney Interviews book. Then stay tuned to the end of the show for information, updates, your voicemails, and more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of the WDW Radio Show. Part of what and I think we, love about Walt Disney World and the Disney parks is that when we pass through its portals, maybe even as we first drive onto property, we leave the real world behind us. But every now and then, it slips its way in, not in a bad way, but in a good, familiar, and often humorous and wonderful way. And it makes its way in through the stories that are told here. And of course, no story can be told without the characters that populate them. And it's within those characters that we find some familiar names, faces, and voices. And there are undoubtedly, and actually likely way more than you think actually, more celebrity cameos in both current and extinct attractions than you probably can remember. So this week, we're going to look at some of our favorites, most memorable, obscure, and maybe even a few odd ones as we share our top 10 celebrity cameos in Walt Disney World. And making a not-so-rare cameo himself is a man who goes by many names, is an enigma wrapped in a mystery, cuddled within a conundrum. He is, of course, Mr. Tim Foster of both Celebrations Magazine and GuideToTheMagic.com.
If I'm remembered for nothing else than cuddling in the conundrum, whatever you said, that warmed my heart.
That's what I was hoping.
Thank you very
for.
much.
But it's true. You are a man of many mysteries. But I am so glad not only to have you back, but to continue to call you friend after these many years. And we were just saying before we started recording, I think we've sort of dabbled into this realm, but we've never actually done a complete show about celebrities at Walt Disney World. And I think this is I think cameos by celebrities at the Disney park, specifically Disney World, is really interesting because it's not necessarily the reason why you would go to see an attraction or show, like the same way a celebrity might attract you to a movie or a TV show, but it's more like a nice surprise.
Exactly. And I'm waiting for the rules that you're going to put in place. This is actually fun because I anticipated some rules you might put in place, and I've already thought out my well planned out arguments against them.
Well, let's sort of before.
But you might not. But you might not have any.
I don't think I have any. But let's sort of talk it out, right? Let's sort of talk about it because I think sometimes celebrity cameos are expected, and what I mean by that is like when an attraction is based on an IP, on a movie, on a TV show, you almost expect the original voiceover artist to lend their voice and talents to the attraction as well. That's not always the case for a variety of reasons, including one specifically that I'm excited to look at later on as we go through our list. And then I think there's some cases too, Tim, where actors can't necessarily do it for one reason or another, either because an actor passed on the role, because it's about money. Because remember, these voices have to be licensed, even if they're not necessarily using the image of an actor. So maybe there's cases that they don't want to, or they can't, or they had a conflict. And if you had to, I know one of us did our research before this episode. We'll see.
One of us did.
But if you had to guess how many different major celebrities, actors, etc., cameos there have been in Disney World, Walt Disney World park attractions, how many do you think there probably have been?
Oh man,
ballpark it, like
57.
Wow,
212, 13.
So well, you should have quit while you were ahead.
I'm all over the place. One of those is close. Sure.
Because just in my research for a top 10 list, I came up with about 50.
There you go. See,
so, and it's interesting because I sort of broke out my list. This is not a rule, just how I sort of broke out my list.
Here we go.
I looked at it sort of park by park, right? It's sort of just in my mind to help organize it. Epcot is a magnet for guest stars. There is a almost a disproportionate number of celebrity cameos in Epcot. Over the years, Magic Kingdom has lost a lot. We'll talk about some extinct attractions and some extinct cameos, and I think they're going to be very, very surprising. Because I think, look, when you hear about celebrity cameos, Tim, I think many of them on our lists are ones that our friend, the listener who's listening with us, will know and probably expect to see. But I think there's going to be a lot of very surprising names on this list.
Wow, my list isn't that long either. This is going to be fun.
So let me ask you. All right, so let me because you did follow the rules and you made it a top 10. What qualifies for you as a celebrity top 10? Is it the celebrity itself? Is it the attraction? Is it the fact that it's unique or maybe a rare appearance by a celebrity? Is it the celebrity's performance? Is it the context of the attraction? How did you sort of put your list together in your mind?
Well, it basically started with how many can I remember, and then it went from there. But I did as I go through this. Now, I didn't know if we were going to draw a distinction between a visual appearance versus narration or something like that.
No, and out of respect for the voiceover artists and the performance that they all have, look, Tom Hanks in Toy Story, it gives a performance as Woody without necessarily having to see his face. So it can be a VO, it could be a voiceover, or it could be an actual, visual character appearance. Either or both is fine.
There you go. I'm thinking why this might be ringing a bell, because I think we did talk about safety spiels at one point, if I remember correctly.
I think we might have done something like
that. And there's a little, and there's a little crossover there. Yeah. So that was part of the list. But the people I landed on were really, I think for the most part, as I go down my list. Yeah. So they're all actors who you recognize. And they're playing characters, but they're not playing characters that you know. I guess they're playing characters unique to this attraction and to that actor. Like they're not recreating Genie from Aladdin, but in their voice. That they're distinct characters. And to me, they're all memorable because their performances are so. It's a cross between they're so true to the attraction and they integrate so well with it, but there's still that essence of them as an actor, which is why they're great actors in their own right, but they bring that to the table, and that character becomes that much more because of what they brought to the table, if that makes sense, as opposed to and there's plenty of other actors that we see in videos and safety films and so forth at Disney that are fantastic and do great jobs. They're not everyday household name celebrities. But again, they bring their all of their talent to the table and add their little bit of extra to the attraction. And all the actors on my list do the same. So while I know that's that guy, to me in that moment, they're part of the attraction, and they elevate the whole attraction to a whole new level.
Right. And for my list, just, pre-spoiler alert, there is one that, and I'm going to put it first because the attraction is not the attraction without this actor. And then there's other that are like you said, more obscure, more interesting, because I have maybe a personal affinity for them or their work. So again, you are my friend, you are my guest. And I'm always so incredibly curious to see where you go first. So please favor us with your first one and tell us not just why you put them on the list, but maybe why you're putting them first.
Well, I'm putting this one first because this is the most go with me here one I have on my list. Now, to our credit, we didn't really put a lot of defining rules on this, but this might be bending rules a little bit. But the first person I want to mention, mostly because of the time of year this is, and I'll explain why he's on my list, but I wanted to talk about Gene Shepherd. Interesting.
I'm smiling.
The silence
it's on my list.
Is it really?
It is.
Oh, goodness. Oh, good. All right. Maybe it's not quite out there as I think it is. But now, of all the people I have on my list, he is unique. So this is purely a voiceover cameo, so to speak. And if you don't know who it is, how do I say this? If you don't know who it is, you might not register that this is someone of celebrityness. Boy, that came out wrong. It's a curious fact because obviously Gene Shepherd, for everyone who knows, the narrator and the father in Carousel of Progress, which every time I hear his voice, I think of Christmas, mostly because of Carousel of Progress, but also because he's perhaps more famously known as the writer and the narrator of the adult Ralphie in A Christmas Story. So that's always a fun fact to share with people who don't know all of the interconnectedness of who Gene Shepherd is and why we always feel so Christmassy when we come out of the Carousel of Progress, the last scene notwithstanding. But once you know that connection and you hear it, it's kind of neat because whether you go on the Carousel of Progress, if you go on the Carousel of Progress, I can't help but think of Christmas in A Christmas Story. When I watch A Christmas Story, I can't help but thinking of being in the Magic Kingdom and being in the Carousel of Progress and listening to him talk to us about how much Walt Disney loved progress. Oh, and I thought this should be a caveat in the top 10 that we have to do an imitation of everyone we put on our list. So, and I can't wait for your cameo of Jerry Lewis, which I know you have on your list in Spaceship Earth. But anyway, that's mine. And again, I really wanted to bring that up because it is Christmas time and we're in that mood. I'm getting ready to get settled in for my 24-hour marathon of A Christmas Story. But it's a wonderful movie. It's a wonderful attraction. And just that the two are connected it's a really cool fact when you discover it. It's fun to share, but I will never forget that voice. And it will always be very special to me.
So a few things. So Gene Shepherd was on my list, but only attached to someone else. He actually took over the role from Andrew Duggan, who was the original voice of the father. So Gene Shepherd took over during the refurbishment in 94. A Christmas Story came out about a decade earlier. So clearly, like, that very much put him on the map. And oh, by the way, quick aside, in terms of where does A Christmas Story rank in terms of all time's greatest Christmas movies, I did share this past week on our Wednesday night live show, and then I shared it in the Clubhouse on Facebook, not just my top 5 Christmas movies on Disney Plus, my top 5 all-time Christmas movies, my top 5 Christmas television specials, and my top 5 Are They Really Christmas Movies? Died Hard, Trading Places. I'm looking at you. Anyway, you can find those at wdwradio.com/clubhouse. But Gene Shepherd was on the list because I had him attached to Mel Blanc.
Okay.
I wanted to give you a second. Let it register. So Mel Blanc is Cousin Orville again, from that obviously most famously known sort of from the bathtub scene. But Mel Blanc was the man of 1,000 voices, and as somebody who grew up with Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and Porky Pig and all the merry melodies and Looney Tunes and so many of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons and Mr. Spacely on the Jetsons, and like, he was an iconic voiceover guy, even like pre-Lou Mongello, like during back the golden age of radio, performing with Jack Benny and Abbott and Costello and Burns and Allen. You can Google those when you're done. So I included him here because he did this sort of as a favor to Walt Disney. If you listen, he's in the tub and he's supposed to be smoking a cigar. And when he did his no privacy at all around his, when he did, that wasn't meant to be an impression. I'm so sorry, Mel Blanc. But when he did that, he actually did the voiceover and he stuck a pencil in his mouth. So it would actually sound like he had a cigar there. But clearly incredibly influential in the voice acting industry. I love the crossover from the Looney Tunes, Hanna-Barbera into my Disney World as well. So Mel Blanc was absolutely. I have a very long list, but Mel Blanc was actually very high on it.
My Mel Blanc fun fact: no privacy at all in this place. By the way, that was gold. But no, it's always curious when I read about him. And I grew up on, Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and all of that too. As prolific and well-known and iconic he is as a voice actor, that aside from a reprisal of some of the Warner Brothers characters in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, his entire Disney voiceover career, aside from Carousel of Progress, if I remember this right, consists of a solitary hiccup in Pinocchio, I believe, and that's it. Which is always very surprising to remember that, but there you go. But yeah, he is Cousin Orville. How can you forget Cousin Orville?
How could you forget Cousin Orville? So
no pride. I'm gonna be saying that all night long.
Right, I want you, the listener, to call in with your best Mel Blanc as Cousin Orville impression, 407-900-9391, and leave your best Mel Blanc or any impression on the voicemail there. Because I piggybacked off yours, I'm not going to count that as one of mine.
Absolutely not. We were ripping there. So
because the first one I put on my list, Tim, and I didn't even hesitate when I sort of brain dumped onto the my virtual paper list, is someone who is, it's very obvious, but I put him on this list, and I put him first because the attraction is not the attraction without him. I cannot imagine not only the attraction being made, but certainly being as popular at the time, it is now extinct, and funny and memorable as it was, because there's only one timekeeper, and his name is Robin Williams.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
The attraction, this wonderful circle vision attraction in Tomorrowland, let's take the voices away. I like the attraction itself because it had this sort of, obviously inspired by H.G. Wells and Jules Verne. It had that sort of retro sci-fi feel to it. And Robin Williams' performance is brilliant because clearly, as with anything that Robin Williams ever did, not only did he not necessarily follow the script that he was given completely, but his improvisation and his, manic hysteria was wonderful. And it was a brilliant, yet I think somewhat underappreciated performance. Like when people talk about Robin Williams and unfortunately after he passed, Timekeeper was not necessarily one, that necessarily made the top of people's list. But I think it should be. And if you've never had a chance to see it in person, you can find the audio online. I'm sure there's YouTube videos of it that you should go and listen because it is some of Robin's best work. And because I'm assuming you didn't have Timekeeper on your list, I want to just give a little bit of credit, or did you?
I'll say that's
going to be a solid
absolutely I did, and you stole my
because inside Timekeeper, not only did you get Robin Williams, but you got Rhea Perlman as Nine-Eye. Yeah. And remember, she was from Cheers. She was Carla Tortelli in Cheers. And oh, by the way, she's Mrs. Danny DeVito, a name you're going to hear again on this list. Jeremy Irons was H.G. Wells. You may hear Jeremy Irons' name again. And not just seen, but again, I alluded to at the beginning, some cameos are not necessarily showing up on screen, but their audio. Listen, you can't talk about the Timekeeper, but in the scene where Jules Verne returns to the exhibition, sort of that building during the 90s, what is playing in the background?
Star Wars.
Motown Philly by Boys to Men.
Get out of here.
Look at it. If
really?
Right.
Wow.
So again, it's supposed to sort of put you in time and place and space. Like, okay, this is early to mid 90s. This is what popular music sounds like. This was from their debut album in 1991 called Cooley High Harmony. Of course, the classic. And so Boys to Men. And I think of all the things, I think the inclusion of that song almost single-handedly dated the attraction more than Rhea Perlman or Robin Williams or anybody else, because it did sort of lock it into that place and time.
It's funny, if you were to distill the 90s, the entire down to a song, it's a curious selection.
And I just want you
to Philly proud, though. Philly proud.
And look, it's not the way it happens, but imagine they're doing a table read for Timekeeper. Robin Williams, Rhea Perlman, Jeremy Irons, and Boys to Men are sitting around a table, doing a table read for the attraction. That's a conversation I would like to listen in on.
Those are 6 people who have not been in my kitchen. There's a Cheers reference for you.
So there you go. Robin Williams and Timekeeper absolutely needs to be on the top 10 celebrity cameo in Walt Disney World list.
Absolutely does. I'm actually glad you said Robin Williams, so I'm going to use that as a segue to, this is another one I thought would be sort of a stretch, but not really. And the reason I'm bringing this person up is actually I have fond memories of their appearance in some other attractions, but for the sake of cameo appearances, I'm going to go back to the days of the Magic of Disney animation tour at the then MGM Studios. Before Mushu, Mushu, I love you, but before Mushu, you had Robin Williams in the film. He wanted to be Peter Pan, if I remember correctly. I confess I only saw that a few times where it switched. But appearing alongside of him, how can you talk about any cameo celebrity voices of all time without mentioning Walter Cronkite? And it's, since you mentioned Robin Williams, I thought that was my way. If you were going to limit this, because I thought you were, if you're going to limit this to people who only appeared on screen somehow. Voiceovers don't count, little Timmy Foster. I thought you were going to say that. That was my way of bringing him into the conversation. But my most memorable Walter Cronkite moments in Disney, I will confess, my Spaceship Earth years started with Jeremy Irons, so I actually did not experience that personally. But I will never forget the holiday tag of Illuminations, and never failed to bring a tear to my eye, especially when you heard his distinctive booming voice echoing across World Showcase Lagoon. But that's one of the most memorable, emotional holiday moments I've ever had at Walt Disney World. And I'll never forget Walter Cronkite. But he, as I mentioned, he has several, not just Illuminations, but several appearances at Disney with Spaceship Earth, and a little appearance with Robin Williams, showing him the magic of Disney animation.
And what was the name of the film that was shown? Wait, 2 questions for you. If you get either or both of these, if you get both of these, I will buy you not only dinner at Boathouse, but any other restaurant.
Wait.
No,
you're on record.
Wait.
You're on record that you're already taking me to the Boathouse.
What was the name of this film? It was sort of this hybrid live action animation, Roger Rabbit style. What was the name of the film?
Peter Pan and the Lost Boys.
Ay vey. Come on, man. It's Back to Neverland.
That's what I meant. That's what I said.
Robin, who is dressed like a typical, 1989 tourist, when he meets Walter Cronkite, he said, he does a little impression of Walter, which is awesome. And he says, name's Robin, but you could call me what? He says, name's Robin, but you can call me.
I don't know. Mork?
Chuck.
I don't know.
Chuck. But I love the fact that you just pulled Mork out.
Well, there you go. I didn't see that. I didn't see that attraction a whole lot. And when I did, that was a long time ago.
It was.
So I think my attempt was good enough for a Boathouse dinner.
Listen, I was going to take you to Boathouse whether you got it right or wrong. So
there you go. That's why I love you, buddy.
For sake of convenience, and ease of walking for you, Tim, I'm going to take you right across the street. I'm going to stay in Magic Kingdom for another, I feel, legendary voiceover performance. And I wonder by your audible gasp if you're thinking what I'm thinking.
I hope I'm thinking what you're thinking.
Bon voyage, Tim Curry.
Yes!
In Extraterrestrial Alien Encounter.
That is fantastic. Oh my gosh.
Love Tim Curry. Not just as the Simulated Intelligence Robotics, or SIR for short. Although, by the way, his original name was going to be supposed to be Tom 2000, whatever. We'll talk about another voiceover for Tom 2000. I love Tim Curry, not just as Dr. Frank-N-Furter in Rocky Horror Picture Show or in Annie, but I love him as the Butler Wadsworth in Clue in 1985. It is one of those movies that whenever it is on, I have to watch it. And I think he is brilliantly scary as Pennywise the Clown in Stephen King's made-for-TV movie from 1990, It. One of Stephen King's best books, I think one of the best adaptations on screen, both as the TV and then eventually the movie. Tim Curry as Pennywise was just incredible. More importantly, he was great as Sir. and this is just a voiceover, right? So he is so in this second pre-show area, you were introduced to this robot built by XS Technologies because, we know the story of XS. Again, originally, the robot that was in the first iteration of the attraction before it was shut down to make it even scarier was Phil Hartman. And Phil Hartman was Tom 2000, the Technobotic Oratorical Mechanism Series 2000. And Michael Eisner walked in, said, it needs to be scarier. We need to get these 14 to 25-year-old boys in here and give something a little bit scarier. So, bon voyage, Phil Hartman. Welcome in Tim Curry. I loved Phil Hartman, but I think Tim Curry was a better choice. And then there's the whole teleportation of Skippy and, when Sir is demonstrating the technology. There's also other voiceover cameos in here. Kevin Pollak is in here as Spinlock. Kathy Najimy is Dr. Femus. What Disney movie is Disney movies actually is Kathy Najimy famous? Like, does she have famous roles in?
Hocus Pocus.
Wow. Look at you pulling.
You didn't think I'd get that.
I did not think you had it in you.
And my list starts and ends with that. What else was she in?
Think. What else? She is
a live action or as a voice artist?
Live action.
Live action.
Sister Act.
Well, you know what? I will confess in front of the world, I never saw Sister Act.
Stop it.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you got to see Sister Act. And as a quick non-Disney aside, she was in Rat Race. She was in this like sort of funny sort of it featured a lot of celebrity cameos in it. It called Rat Race from like 2000, 2001, somewhere around there. Very, very funny. But so yeah, Kathy Najimy and Kevin Pollak were in there.
Does that get me
Wait, Chairman Clench. How did I forget? Chairman Clench was Jeffrey Jones.
Yes, that's right.
What movie is Jeffrey Jones most famously known for?
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
God, if I didn't love you enough, there you go. If something can't be done with excess, then it shouldn't be done at all. Tim Curry, absolutely. I love you, brother.
Tim Curry. My Tim Curry filmography starts and ends with Home Alone 2, though. So.
I love you, sir.
Do bundle up. It's frightfully chilly outside.
My apologies to Tim Curry and Robin Williams and
it's all in love. It's all in love.
Right. Any of these bad impressions are definitely they are based in love and admiration. So
I will tell you, one of the most iconic Christmas movie scenes for me of all time is when Tim Curry realizes that young Kevin has stolen the credit card and the light goes off above his head, mirroring the Grinch in the next scene as that smile grows even wider. Classics.
Love it.
Classics. That's a great one.
Thank you.
That's a drop the mic one and leave.
How much fun are we having? Go ahead. What's next?
Let's see. Well, all right, there's some obvious ones that we need to talk about. So I'll start talking about the obvious ones. And this is perhaps my favorite, but I can't wait to talk about him. Your flight attendant, Patrick. Oh, so good. Patrick Warburton is that. Now, granted, I still have numbers 3, 2, and 1 to go yet, but I will give him the nod. He is my favorite celebrity cameo appearance anywhere in Walt Disney World. But it's just so Patrick. And the cool part, like if you remember him from Seinfeld, what was the show? Oh gosh, what was the show he was the star of? The name has escaped me. Do you remember?
So I know
with David Spade, he had a show called
Rules of Engagement.
That's the one, yeah. But we all know him as Putty from Seinfeld. But that the safety spiel, which is really all it is, and I mentioned, I think we did a safety spiel show, and he was surely at the top of that list too. But I mean, Soarin' is an incredible attraction. I won't go so far as to say the safety spiel is the best part of the attraction. I can't go that far.
Now it
but
might
it
be.
Does. Well, but it does make waiting in line that much more memorable. And who among us does not break out into our Patrick Warburton impression every time we get anywhere near Soaring, or we got our Mickey ears in hand and we just can't help but say, and these little beauties. Like, I probably bungled that line badly, but you know what I mean. I wanted to give a nod to I was trying to think of, and you can talk more about flight attendant Patrick, But I was thinking of his Seinfeld connection. And this is a fun game. My daughter and I play this a lot. My daughter especially, because she was I don't know if she was alive when Seinfeld started, or they were born together. Let's put it that way. But she loves the show, and she realized, and I realized, how much of our everyday vernacular comes from that show. and we don't even we say stuff and we think, where did that come from? Then we remember where it was. Half the fun is trying to remember what the episode was. But I was trying to think if there are any other Seinfeld connections in Disney. And you could actually help me up on this, because I'm sure I'm missing some. But the first one that came to mind, and I'm sure we'll come back to this attraction later on, was Michael Richards' brief appearance as the caveman in Ellen's Energy Adventure as Kramer discovers fire. Past that, though, I couldn't think of any other Seinfeld connections. So I'm sure there have to be.
You know what? I will...
but we'll think about that.
I will tell you this, that I will mention Seinfeld at some point later in the conversation.
And it will answer my question.
Possibly.
So there we go. Okay.
So wait, here's a trivia question for you.
Okay.
We're going to have some fun. So
I'm knocking these down. I am knocking these down. I love Patrick Warburton. By the way, unless you're going to tell me, well, ask the question, because I was going to mention something else. This might be
So I love Seinfeld. Seinfeld is my second all-time favorite TV show next to Lost. His David Puddy,
interesting,
and loving Arby's the way he does. He was also the voice of, he was in Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, Kim Possible, Family Guy. If you're a superhero comic book guy, he was also the Tick, the live action version of the series. However, Patrick Warburton, of all the people on this list, is not only found in Soarin', he's also found in what other attraction?
Oh, wait a minute.
In almost a similar type of role, in a pre-show queue.
Oh, man. In Walt Disney World.
All right, I'll give you a hint. I'll tell you exactly who.
Give me a hint. I want to get this. Give me a hint.
He's G245.
That sounds like a Star Wars.
Yes, it is a Star Wars reference.
Wow. Tell me more, though.
So in Star Tours, the adventure continues.
Yeah.
In the pre-show load area, he is the voice of the sort of the robot in that sort of directing people where to go and traffic and the pre-show security scanning and all that. And wait a minute. Patrick Warburton is in not one, not two, but three of the 4 parks in Walt Disney World.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. You want to know why? Because he is the voice of Kronk from Emperor's New Groove in Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom. Right?
Wow. I'll buy you dinner for that one.
How much fun are we having?
We are. My movie lineup is all set, because I'm going to watch Trading Places and Die Hard and Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, there you go.
Patrick Warburton. Oh, wait. You mentioned a lot of love for Patrick Warburton. Quick aside, but I got another question for you. You talked about Trading Places and Die Hard really quick. This is a Disney relevant question. Iron Man 3, Christmas movie or not?
So, and this is part of what
you're wrong. You're wrong already.
Well, this is part of what I talked about on my list, because Iron Man 3 is one of the movies that's on my lists of my top. I do a top 5 live every Wednesday night, right? And it's a derivation of my original list, which is, here are top 5 movies. Are they or are they not Christmas movies? And Iron Man 3 is on that list. Because what qualifies something as a Christmas movie? Does Christmas play? Does the occurrence of Christmas play in a meaningful way? This is one of my qualifications into the storyline. So, for example, Die Hard is a Christmas movie because Nakatomi Plaza would not have been empty other than that one floor had they not been having their Christmas party that night. Trading Places is a Christmas movie because the crop reports have to come out and it's Christmas and New Year's, so it does have to take place. Is Gremlins a Christmas movie? I'll leave that for you to debate and decide. Does the fact that Iron Man 3 takes place over Christmas time, does it make it a Christmas movie? We can talk about that in the Facebook group.
We can. I know there's I think Marvel has a whole article on their site that it is a Christmas movie, and that's good enough for me. As far as Die Hard goes, I saw a quote from Bruce Willis, though, saying it is not a Christmas movie. It's a Bruce Willis movie. And that's his, that's him weighing in on that question. So take that for what it is.
It's a moonlighting. God, I used to love moonlighting. Anyway, all right, back to our list. Back to our.
Wait, you have to give me your Patrick Warburton impression. Everyone's got
tower.
One.
There you go. That's all you're gonna get is Soar into Tower.
Wait, do it again.
Come on. You get one crack at it.
Soar into Tower.
I almost started doing Patrick Warburton impressions from Seinfeld, which would not make any sense to, if not a Seinfeld. All right, back to our list. I'm going.
This is clearly not my face. Go ahead.
He's a face painter. I know he's a face painter. So we'll take this conversation offline. All right.
Yes.
I'm going to go probably the most obscure one on Tim Foster. If you have this on your list, I will be shocked, amazed, and partially impressed and devastated all at the same time, because I'm taking you to a film that was originally found at the Disney MGM studios and then was renamed and brought over to Magic Kingdom.
I'm pretty sure this is not on my list.
Good. Because in the summer of 1991, this is like a sort of Wayne's World, go back in time. Summer 1991, it's brutally hot over at the Disney MGM studios, but on one of the sound stages, a temporary attraction, as they are wont to sort of come and go there, is installed, and it is a film known as Mickey's Audition. It's a 5-minute film that was made for the studios that was, again, sort of in this Roger Rabbit type thing. It combined live action and animation, and it was chock full of cameos. I'll get to them in a minute. In 1994, it moved over to the Town Square Exposition Hall in Magic Kingdom and was renamed Mickey's Big Break. So it played over at Magic Kingdom. It played over at the Main Street Cinema first, and then over at the Town Square Exposition Hall. So it played in 3 different locations: studios, the cinema, and then the Town Square Hall. It was directed by Rob Minkoff, so you probably know the name from Lion King, Stuart Little, Haunted Mansion, Mr. Peabody, and Sherman, which is actually a lot of fun. In terms of cameos, Roy E. Disney played the role of Walt Disney in this, and it's very, very hard to find this movie like online. You can look for Mickey's Audition, very difficult to find. So Roy Disney played the role of Walt Disney. I'm going to mention a couple of the other ones, and then I'm going to get to the one that I'm pegging here. Ed Begley Jr. You remember him from Saint Elsewhere?
Mr. Julie Louis-Dreyfus. There's a Seinfeld connection. No, and that's wrong. That's wrong.
He was in Officer and Gentleman, Batman Forever.
First drummer at Spinal Tap.
Right. No, this is Ed Begley Jr.
Yeah.
He also did a show, a reality show a few years ago about environmentality and like green living. Like he was very much of an environmental activist. Anyway, I don't care. Ed Begley is not the one that I'm referring to. I'm not referring to Angela Lansbury, who was also in it. Not just the Angela Lansbury from Murder, She Wrote and Bedknobs and Broomsticks and Beauty and the Beast. So obviously, like, I'm building up somewhere. Like, I'm going somewhere big. And you would think, because I'm a huge fan of this guy, huge fan, you would think that the cameo that I'm referring to is Dom DeLuise. Do you even know who that is?
I know who Dom DeLuise is. I'm not
so
12.
Dom DeLuise was in a number of buddy movie. Like he was friends with Burt Reynolds. So again,
Cannonball Run,
Cannonball Run 2, Cannonball Run, dun dun dun. Captain Chaos is hysterical. Smokey and the Bandit 2, The End. He was actually the host of Candid Camera for a number of years. Did a lot of voiceover in his later years for animated features. A lot of Don Bluth movies as well. I met Dom DeLuise once. Like I saw him in Atlantic City with my parents, and I went backstage and I met him, and he offered me fruit from his fruit tray. That's my Dom DeLuise story. Wow. He was like the nicest. But I'm going very long and very circuitous. The cameo that I'm referring to is Mel Brooks.
No way.
Mel Brooks played the director in Mickey's Audition / Mickey's Big Break Town Square when it went to Town Square Exposition Hall. I love, and almost any and all things that Mel Brooks has done. My love for Mel Brooks goes far and wide and deep, not just because, Tim Foster, that Mel Brooks also has a Disney World connection because, why?
Spaceballs.
No, because the Tower. Do you ever listen to the show? I know that the answer is no. That the Tower of Terror was supposed to be. They actually, Eisner and Marty Sklar went to Mel Brooks first to do a concept for what would be the Tower of Terror, and it was actually going to be a Castle Young Frankenstein. And you were supposed to walk through this Bavarian village and go to this castle over a drawbridge. Yeah, it was going to have this sort of, it was going to be like this. And then they changed it. It was going to be, they wanted to get more into the Hollywood theme. So it was going to be the Mel Brooks Hollywood Horror Hotel. And it was going to be this very sort of tongue-in-cheek, funny horror type thing. They used to refer to it as like Hotel Mel. Was what it was going to be. And obviously it was for a number of different reasons. I won't go into too long. The idea was abandoned. If you go back and listen to my interviews with Tim Kirk and Steve Kirk, they were the Imagineers who worked on this project with Mel Brooks very early on in the WDW Radio days. You can just search for it on the site or in your podcast. We talk more about Mel Brooks and working with Disney. So there is my connection. The very circuitous Mickey's Audition to Mel Brooks to Tower of Terror, but the Mel Brooks as the director is one of my favorite and most obscure cameos ever in Walt Disney World history.
That's obscure. And I never saw it, and I guess I'll look for it, but you say it's hard to find.
It's hard to find.
Huh. Interesting.
Dom DeLuise. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun.
Captain Chaos.
That's great. Hey, I want to set the record straight here, lest everybody out there is going, wait, what? As I said, Julia Dreyfus is married to Brad Hall, not Ed Begley Jr. But Lou, he was the first drummer in Spinal Tap.
Was he really?
Stumpy Pete. Yes, Stumpy Pete.
Stumpy Pete.
Now, if you remember back in when they were 60s and the Black One movie and Give Me Some Money, that's Ed Begley Jr.
Oh, yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. It's been a long time since I've seen it. We'll add that to our date night movie list.
There you go. And he was in The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes. So there you go. So really was. Let's see. Oh, is it my turn? Let's see.
Mel Brooks. I need you to top Mel Brooks.
I can't see except I feel like I'm going to go to the opposite end of the spectrum on the how can you not be talking about, but you'll get all the props for doing the obscure ones, and boy, you're smart, Lou. But let's see. Well, I see. I mentioned Michael Richards from Ellen's Energy Adventure, so we might as well talk about the whole attraction.
Yes.
And I will miss it. And I will tell you, I got a word is coming out now about Guardians of the Galaxy, the roller coaster, and what it will be and how exciting it will be. And to my disappointment, it sounds like an attraction I will never go on. So how I miss you, Ellen's Energy Adventure. It's going to be really cool. just a little too scary for me. But Ellen's Energy Adventure, I love the attraction. To me, that's one of those overlooked attractions that you might not think of right away as you race on to Test Track or to Mission Space. But I always loved it, and it was one of those attractions filled with all sorts of cameos. Ellen DeGeneres notwithstanding, obviously she's the star of the show. Michael Richards, of course, Jamie Lee Curtis and Alex Trebek, though, were so amazing, and especially props to Alex Trebek, was so great. It's funny now to look back on it, and he's Alex Trebek, but playing the part of Alex Trebek, the Jeopardy host Alex Trebek. So it was very cool.
Very meta. Zip
it, Judy. So, but all those cameos were but my favorite though is Einstein. That's he knocked
What's
it out
the
of the
name
park.
of the uncredited actor that plays Albert Einstein?
Oh, I have no idea. That's not Albert Einstein. All right, now who is it?
It's Benny Wasserman.
What? There you go.
Benny Wasserman does not get enough love. There you go, Benny.
Wow.
Wherever you may be.
And did a great job. A bundle of, relatively speaking, something like that. Who else was in there though? I mean, those are the stars of the show. Bill Nye, obviously, who is also over at Dinosaur,
right?
As is Felicia. Boy, all right, I'm going all over the place. Back to Epcot and back to Ellen's Energy Adventure. Other cameos in there too.
So you got Willard Scott, who's the weatherman.
That's right.
Willard Scott playing Willard Scott. Chris Berman back.
Yeah, that's when I was always about to fall asleep in that room, waiting for everybody to.
I love
come
Chris
in
Berman.
No,
Johnny
not
Gilbert.
because of him. But
I think as long as you're going to give love to Alex Trebek, may he rest in peace. Johnny Gilbert, the voice of Jeopardy, was also Johnny Gilbert, the voice of KNRG Radio.
And this, pardon me, this one just occurred to me. I remember her. I don't remember her name though. I believe Saturday Night Live alum. She's the one who is getting Ellen back on set real quick. Do you know what I'm talking about? Oh, I'm going to be Googling this madly while we're talking.
So wait, while you do that, here's a trivia question for you. And
yes.
Don't go Googling this.
Well, I'm Googling who this person is.
So Jamie Lee Curtis in the attraction, like Michael Richards, is actually uncredited. Jamie Lee Curtis is Stupid Judy.
Right.
What's Stupid Judy's last name? No, it is not. You know what?
I have no idea.
That's going to be this week's trivia question of the week. What is Stupid Judy's last name? You can win some not so valuable and interesting prizes, including a Disney Interviews book. Maybe I'll throw in a WDW Radio mug. Don't Google it now.
I love it. I'm Googling it now. I believe I am thinking of Ellen Cleghorn, by the way. So
my Saturday Night Live, I was more of a late 70s Belushi, Aykroyd, Garrett Morris. That was my Saturday Night Live. Chevy Chase,
Christmas Vacation.
Gilda Radner.
Boy. Gilda Radner,
Mrs. Who was Gilda Radner's husband?
Gene Wilder.
Yes.
Speaking
of Mel Brooks, and we can go.
See, it all connects. That's how cool this is.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
You really want me to connect? You really want me to give you 6 degrees of Disney World and Mel Brooks?
Oh, you got to now.
All right. I'll do it with the next one on my list.
Oh, all right.
Is it my turn now?
Sure.
All right. So
unless you wanted to talk about Bill Nye some more.
No, I'm good. All
right.
So the next one on my list, I'm gonna bounce on over to Epcot Center and an extinct attraction, which, like some of the others that we've talked about, was replete with celebrity talent from really a very, very wide spectrum of acting legacies. And I'm talking about Cranium Command.
Awesome.
So, little bit of history.
Yeah.
So, when Disney first had this idea for a life and health pavilion, which was always going to be part of the original plan, they actually had plans for not one, but 2 audio animatronic shows inside the pavilion. One of them was going to be called The Tooth Follies, which is about dental hygiene, designed by Rolly Crump. The other one, about the function of the brain, was going to be called The Head Trip. Obviously, that's the only one that they decided to go forward with. But originally, the idea for what was going to become Cranium Command was this idea of, it almost took inspiration from like original Star Trek. And there was going to be this crew of 3 pilots that were piloting the brain, but each working on a different part. One was going to do the intellect, one was going to do the nervous system, and one of them was going to control emotion. Then they're like, no, we're going to change that. We're going to go, instead of this idea of an outer space theme, because remember, they also had ideas for a space pavilion early on, they decided to go with the military operation angle and changed it to Brain Command. And then not long before the pavilion opened, they changed it to Cranium Command. And instead of 3 pilots, they had 1. And his name was going to be Captain Cortex. Look, I kid you not. I don't make the news, man. I just report it.
All right.
So obviously they move away from that, but the show that we eventually get, Cranium Command, was directed by Jerry Reese, who did Brave Little Toaster.
I love Brave Little Toaster.
Right? And the pre-show was actually one of the first efforts of Gary Truesdale and Kirk Wise, who did Beauty and the Beast and Hunchback and Atlantis, The Lost Empire. But inside, right, so there were all of these, if you've never seen Cranium Command, the idea was you were sort of doing this point of view, this first-person perspective inside the brain and inside this little boy in school as he was sort of going through his day. And he was being bullied and he was, flirting with the girl and sort of going through all the things that boys go through. And just a few of the celebrity cameos inside included, but are not limited to, Dana Carvey. We'll start off with an SNL, Wayne's World, right? He also was in another Disney film. It was actually a Touchstone film. It's called Tough Guys. Bobcat Goldthwait was the adrenal gland. So
makes sense.
From a Disney perspective, he was Pain in Hercules back in 97. But you've also heard him in World of Color, Villainous, Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom, House of Mouse. And then he was in, obviously, the adrenal gland in Cranium Command. He also did some animated stuff on TV, like Buzz Lightyear Star Command, Randy Cunningham, Ninth Grade Ninja, and a few of the other ones as well. Charles Grodin was the left brain. Tia Carrere, also was from Wayne's World, was Bobby's mother. She was also she was Nani in Lilo and Stitch. And also she was in American Dragon Jake Long in one of those episodes there. But here's the connection that a couple of. So John Lovitz was the right brain. John Lovitz, he was Saturday Night Live. Kevin Nealon was the left ventricle, also an SNL alum. George Wendt from Cheers, going back to Rhea Perlman, was the stomach. And you ready for this? Here is the connection to Mel Brooks. Cloris Leachman was the teacher. Cloris Leachman was Frau Blucher in Young Frankenstein. You're supposed to hear the horse whinny right now. She was in History of the World Part 1, right? Did you know, and here's where I'm going to connect it for you, do you know that she is the most awarded actress in Emmy history, along with Julia Louis-Dreyfus?
Get out of here.
You get out of here.
Really? Wow.
Really.
All right.
And
Worlds
from a more modern perspective, so for those of you who don't know any of the people or movies,
I don't know who any of these people are.
She plays Heinz Doofenshmirtz's mother in Phineas and Ferb.
There you go. Everyone will know what that is.
She was also in Sky High, which I love, by the way.
Okay.
What? Have you ever seen Sky High? It's on Disney Plus. You have to come over and watch it.
All right.
I'll make espresso.
Tell me. Oh, well then. Enough said.
I'm making espresso is also a Young Frankenstein reference. But anyway.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell, Kelly Preston.
Okay.
You've never seen Sky High? It's so good. It's so good.
I feel like I lost any cachet I had with you earlier.
So Cranium Command, Cloris Leachman, my obscure Mel Brooks. There you go. And John Lovitz and Kevin Nealon and Bobcat and all those guys.
I saw John Lovitz in Central Park.
Did you really?
He was yelling at his dog. Yeah. No, yeah, I really did. So fun stuff. I'll throw this for our next one, because when you were talking about Epcot and the Wonders of Life Pavilion, I actually thought you were gonna go.
Come on, go where you go.
Left
go there
instead of right, to the Making of Me.
Oh no, you went in a different.
Where were you? Wait. Oh, all right. Well, I'll talk about this. Not much. I don't remember this too well, but this was
connect all these dots. Don't worry.
Oh, I have no dots to connect here, but actually, so the Making of Me was a film in the Wonders of Life Pavilion that told the story of how you and me are made.
Can you be a little bit more specific?
I'll be as specific as they were in the film, as you know. But the film starred one Martin Short, who again, I only saw that film a few times way back in the day, but to me, much more well-known, renowned, and famous for his hosting of the O Canada film in the Canada Pavilion, Canada, where it snows 365 days a year, and it's always cold. Seeing little Martin playing ice hockey with his friends, that was me too. Like, barely could stand up. Actually, I can't even stand up on skates. He was much better than I was. But now I loved his narration of O Canada. I remember barely remember the previous version, which was more generic, shall we say? But he brought his own special brand of humor to it. And I guess you could also look at O Canada. Now, does this count, Lou? Does this count? Canada is home to many famous people. Here are some of them. Do those count as cameo appearances?
No, they do not.
Well, okay. So we'll stay away from this. But no. Martin Short's on my list, mostly for O Canada, but I remembered he was in The Making of Me too, which was in Epcot, which you reminded me when you went to Cranium Command. But where did you think I was going that I didn't go? Now you got me curious.
So before we get there, I gotta hang around with Martin Short.
Oh, hang out with Martin Short.
Hang out with Martin Short a
little SCTV connection.
I'm not even going to O Canada yet.
Okay.
Yes. We're so proud of her. We put her image on the coin. Check it out. The next time you accidentally get a Canadian dime in your change. No. So Martin Short from Second City Television and then Saturday Night Live, Ed Grimley, I must say. But Three Amigos, and I'm doing my three. As if you could see me, I'm sort of doing my three. I love Three Amigos.
I can see it in my mind perfectly. I know
that's what we need next Halloween. Me, you, and somebody else. We're gonna go as Three Amigos.
Three Amigos.
Inner Space.
Yes.
Father of the Bride. Disney connection. The Santa Claus 3. The
Santa
Escape
Claus 3.
He's great as Jack Frost.
Fantastic.
And if you've ever seen Jiminy Glick, his Jiminy Glick.
Oh my gosh.
So hysterical. I like Martin Short a lot. I like him here in The Making of Me. I had to watch that film. I took notes. I had a lot of questions when I came out of it. Obviously in
Really?
O Canada,
Do you need me to explain some things to you after?
We'll talk offline.
Are you okay? All right.
We'll talk offline. Actually, speaking of is O Canada? Is this the only time O Canada is on your list?
Yeah,
because Martin Short gave up the reins to O Canada when it was updated to who? Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy.
I haven't seen this yet.
What? You haven't seen it? I haven't seen this.
I haven't been there in a while.
Good Gandhi, man. You need to come down here. Well, we have a lot of things that we need to cover.
There's stuff going on.
So, again, same thing. Catherine O'Hara.
Here we go.
And Eugene Levy. So, first of all, Catherine O'Hara in Beetlejuice is just brilliant. But they, too, started off in the 70s in SCTV. You probably know them from a modern perspective on Schitt's Creek. Yeah. And just to be clear, it's SCHITT. It is.
I still get angry about that, but
I want to just be clear. It's a completely G-rated podcast. So, but they've worked together for years and years and years on so many wonderful things, and they are both hysterical in their own rights, including as the hosts of Canada Far and Wide. Now, inside the Wonders of Life Pavilion, you made a left. I thought you were making right because I thought you were going to an area when you go into the building, which is still there, yet it is covered over, because I thought you were going to Body Wars.
I'm afraid of Body Wars, so
okay,
no. But
so very quickly, and this was on my
list. I got
list.
nauseous on Body Wars.
Body Wars was on my list, not just because I dug it. Now remember, Body Wars opened in October it's sort of late October of like the 19th, 29th, somewhere around there. And this really was, when it opened, it was the first sort of thrill ride at Epcot. And the lines were long. The waits were Body Wars was the flight of passage of 1989. Like, people waited there forever. But the celebrity connections, plural, to this include Tim Matheson, best known to me as Otter from Animal House, and Elizabeth Shue. Dr. Cynthia Lair? No? Is it not ringing a bell at all? Karate Kid? Adventures in Babysitting? Cocktail?
I know who Elizabeth Shue is.
Back to the Future 2 and 3?
Yeah, I got you. I'm feeling it.
And what celebrity actor directed Body Wars? Come on, get this, and I will. You
hold on, Google.
No, I'm doing the Googles. Leonard Nimoy, Mr. Spock, directed Body Wars. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. Mr. Spock directed Body Wars.
I love that.
I was a big Trek fan growing up.
Where are you?
Like all of the Treks. Like, I literally remember the night that I ran upstairs from dinner when I was still living home with my parents to catch the very first episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
So you're a big Wesley Crusher fan then?
I really, really enjoy Leonard Nimoy, and I think Patrick Stewart is a brilliant actor, not just for his work in Star Trek, but obviously a very accomplished Shakespearean actor. But we are getting way off. But there you go. Making of Me, Cranium Command, Body Wars. It's all connected.
That was a happening pavilion back in the day,
right?
Yeah, I miss it.
So there you go.
Oh dear.
I don't know whose turn it is. I have no idea.
I don't know. You made mine better, so I think
we've lost count, and who cares? All right, Timmy Foster.
Well,
going to get right. Well, you know what? I'm just going to go then, because I think that you're scrambling.
Well, look, I got like one really good one, and then one sort of not obscure, but
listen.
I'm done.
End with the big one. So give me another one. Give me a not so good one, right?
No, this is a good one. I don't know if it pops into people's mind when you first think of the subject, but big fan. I like the space, the stars. I wanted to be an astronaut when I grew up until I wanted to become Luke Skywalker when I grew up, which kind of dates me. But
excuse me 1 second. I think I know exactly where you're going, and it plugs in directly to where I was going.
So how do you want to handle this?
Do it. Go exactly down the road you're going.
What if I don't go where you think I'm going?
It doesn't matter. I'll bring it all back and make it look like it was supposed to connect.
All right. So in my love of all things space, one of my favorite movies these days is Apollo 13, which I've seen 512 times, much to my mother's chagrin because I keep teasing her about it. Gary Sinise's appearance in Mission Space. It's one of my favorites for, I don't know, it might be the Apollo 13 connection, but I'm sure, to me, that's what he's known for in my mind. But of course, he's well known for lots of Forrest Gump and plenty of other things. But to me, it's all about Apollo 13, which makes the connection with Mission Space that much more. Clearly, it needs to be Gary Sinise because he was in Apollo 13. And I'm curious,
can you give me
where
a Gary Sinise impression?
Going.
Whether it's from
let me give it. Well, give me a
Apollo 13 or from Mission Space.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me think of an Apollo 13 one. I can't think of anything from Mission Space other than get strapped in.
I know you're probably feeling a little bit nervous right now, but don't worry.
Well, to be fair, I was always green team, and I don't know if we got Gary Sinise all the time. We got cast member B for that one, but
forget it.
Are the roses blooming and whatever?
Are you just reading the line, or is that actually you supposed to be Gary?
No,
Sinise?
that was Tom Hanks. The Gary Sinise is no, I do not have the measles, or something like that. Something like that. Well, I want to know what's his connection.
All right,
though.
So here we go. So first of all, Gary Sinise was on my list because I love him. First of all, he is Lieutenant Dan Taylor.
Yes,
from Forrest Gump. But I love Gary Sinise for two other reasons. He is, without question, and I know we all love Doogie Howser. Gary Sinise, I will put up against any candlelight processional narrator like mano a mano. Fight me on it. And look, and I love Neil Patrick Harris, but I also love Gary Sinise on a personal level. I love him and what he does for military and veterans. The Gary Sinise Foundation, like, you should stop what you're doing and go and look at, because Gary Sinise he's a good human being, man. And I've never had the pleasure of meeting him, but I love him in Candlelight. I love him in Forrest Gump. I liked him in Apollo 13, and I loved him as Stu Redman from the Stand TV adaptation of the Stephen King book, which is my favorite book next to the Bible on the entire planet. And in the interest of full disclosure, I've read the Stand twice. I've never actually read the entire Bible, but you understand like what I mean.
But I hear you.
So, and now I'm going to connect it to the one that's on my list, which is probably as obscure as Mel Brooks and Cloris Leachman. And this one is on the list for purely personal reasons that almost have nothing to do with her performance in Epcot. Because Gary Sinise, in the 2017 update, was replaced by one Gina Torres. And you're going, who? You mean... I know she did like a voice in Star Wars Rebels, and she was in Westworld and Elena of Avalor. No. She was not just in Xena Warrior Princess. She was not just in Hercules: A Legendary Journey, but more importantly, she was and will always be Zoe Washburn from Firefly. Firefly, which, by the way, was a Joss Whedon show, is one of my all-time, canceled way too soon. It was the Star Trek of its generation. She was sort of the second in command of Firefly, which was it was a Fox TV series that ran like for less than a season. Unfortunately, Nathan Fillion was in it. Alan Tudyk was in it. I could even go on and on about the voices he's done for Disney. Morena Baccarin was in it. Hello. She was also in Deadpool.
Hello.
But I love this connection because it connects to a show that is not Disney, but I personally love so very much. And has nothing to do with her performance in Mission Space, but that's why I wanted to make sure I recognized her on my list. Shiny.
Shiny?
Shiny.
Okay. I think we ran in different circles of nerddom. But, yeah, Firefly.
Firefly.
Wait, so that means back to me,
Hulu.
or
Firefly is on Hulu.
I don't have Hulu.
I'm going to get you Hulu.
I'm a Disney Plus kid, and
There's
I only have
only-
room
there's
for one.
only-
I have only room for one in my heart.
There's there's very few episodes. There's like 16 episodes of Firefly. Like it unfortunately did not run very long. Fox really just messed it. It was really like 14 episodes, but then there's like the Serenity movie, whatever. Yeah.
Well, you should start a mail-in campaign.
They did, and that's how the Serenity movie got made.
Oh, well, there you go. Good job, then.
So now it is back to you.
Where did we end here? You know what? I have like one left.
Go ahead.
And so I can do that, and then you can do your 32 other ones you have on your list, which I'm sure you have.
I do.
I know you do. See, I know you too well. So I will end on this one, but I will laugh at yours in a good way. When you first mentioned this idea to me, the first name that popped into my head, as much as I love Patrick Warburton and you're my co-favorite, but my also big favorite is Eric Idle, Journey into Imagination. Dr. Nigel Channing. He probably is right there with Patrick, but my favorite cameo appearance by a celebrity in an attraction is he embodies everything I was talking about at the beginning. Like the character of Dr. Nigel Channing, it elevates that if everyone has their opinions on Journey into Imagination, the original iteration versus the new one, and all of that discussion. But with the arrival of Eric Idle, he, in his own way, he did elevate the attraction and the backstory and the whole theming of it to a whole new level. And I love the current iteration where they're him and Figment are, bouncing back and forth against each other. And, but his performance and his humor and what he brings to that role, that perfectly typifies what I was talking about how it elevates the attraction to a whole new level just because of him and how hilarious and awesome he is and fantastic. And I wasn't the biggest Monty Python fan growing up. Not that I wasn't a fan. I just didn't see it a whole lot, but I feel like I've known Eric Idle all my life. So he gets my number one slot on this list.
As well he should. Look, and again,
and there's a couple other people in that attraction on the wall too, by the way.
Right. The attraction, the iteration of the attraction is admittedly not my favorite, which is why Eric Idle did not he's on my list in terms of acknowledging, but I will take, the original Dreamfinder and Billy Barty as Figment over Dr. Nigel Channing any day of the week and twice on Sundays.
Is there I'll fight you over this?
No, I just won't fight you on it because the original Dreamfinder and Figment win every time.
No, that's fair enough. That's why I said, whatever your thoughts are on the iterations of the attraction is a whole other story. But I just think for what he brought, because trying to imagine the current iteration of Journey into Imagination with someone else or someone you don't know, like filling that role. I can't imagine. Like, I can't imagine the attraction without him.
He did
great. Just like people who did the original attraction, you can't imagine without Figment and without the Dreamfinder and all that. He's that integral to the attraction, to me anyway. So. For
what he was given to work with, like Dame Judi Dench, right?
Wait, why is she not on this list?
Well, I'll explain my list, but like Dame Judi Dench, it has nothing to do with the actor. It has to do with the script. And I don't think that Eric Idle or Dame Judi Dench was given the best possible script that they could have had. And I love Spaceship Earth, and I love Journey into Imagination, and I love me some Figment, but I'm the first to acknowledge that the current iterations are not necessary. No, I'm going to say it. They are not as good as the originals.
Well, now how about his the Honey, I Shrunk the Audience appearances of not just him, but Marcia Strassman and whoever else I'm missing in there. That was a separate attraction into its own right. So do you give him props? Well, I mean, you're giving him props. I shouldn't say it that way. But how do you feel about that?
Well, again, same thing. Like Honey, I Shrunk the Audience. Like I dug. I like. First of all, I love Rick Moranis. Right, and I
Rick
love
Moranis.
the fact,
That's right. I was trying to remember.
So I love the fact that
SCTV.
That Rick, like God, and Second City Television, and boy, Canada, you pump out some great stuff. Not just poutine, but in terms of people as well. So yes, Eric Idle was in there, but Rick Moranis as Wayne Selinsky, Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2, yes. Spaceballs. There's the Mel Brooks connect.
There you go. It all interconnects.
And he's also in a dramatic, it's somewhat comedic but dramatic role. Parenthood. He's excellent. Parenthood is a Parenthood is a really, really good movie. He was also in Brother Bear. He did work.
Really?
He did VO work on Brother Bear.
Fascinating.
All right, so I'm going to, because like I said at the very beginning, Epcot is sort of the hub of cameos. Correct? I don't think, other than mentioning the magic of Disney animation and Back to Neverland, we haven't really given any love to Hollywood Studios, other than my mention of Patrick Warburton, and no love has been given to Disney's Animal Kingdom. So I will give you one for each, including the one that you are probably not going to expect. Because at Disney's Hollywood Studios, I'm taking you to the Great Movie Ride. And you're like, what? That's not John Wayne. That's not Humphrey Bogart. You're right. And you know what? It's not Judy Garland either. Because the voice of Judy Garland in the Wizard of Oz scene was actually supplied by her daughter, Liza Minnelli.
Well, that makes sense.
But she's not credited anywhere. Like, you don't really. So, again,
now she is.
If you're not familiar with Liza Minnelli, I swear I'm not like a crotchety old man, but she was, especially in the 60s and 70s and really in the 80s as well. She was very well known for her performance, and she won an Oscar for Cabaret, Arthur. She had a number of music albums and TV appearances. She toured with Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr.
Whoa!
In the late 80s, I would have killed to see Sinatra and Davis and Minnelli like in Vegas. Hello. Anyway, she actually, you want to really, here's an obscure reference. Liza Minnelli actually put out an album and collaborated with the Pet Shop Boys. Now, does that make me sound old?
Yeah, a little bit.
So, and here's the reason why. So here's the backstory. And this sort of, in context, this goes back to what I said at the beginning in terms of sometimes the inability for one reason or another to gain or even utilize pre-recorded audio for some of these actors is cost prohibitive. So the cost for obtaining the rights to Judy Garland's voice was so cost prohibitive that Imagineering reached out to her daughter, who recreated the voice of Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz show scene.
Interesting.
And she actually has, here's another interesting fact. When you go into the courtyard of the great movie, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, you will find the imprint, I'm not saying handprint, the imprint of Liza Minnelli, dated like early 1990 when they used to do sort of the Star of the Day. She wrote the word love, and she imprinted not her hands, not her nose like Alan Alda, but her bare feet.
Interesting.
Here's another bit of trivia. So in the Great Movie Ride, there is the scene from Casablanca where Ingrid Bergman is there. Yep. She doesn't speak because Ingrid Bergman's family would not give her permission to use her voice.
Oh, that's cold.
Listen, it's That's
business.
But her grandchildren actually came, like her grandchildren, like they went to the attraction and like, oh, that's your grandma right there, like in 3D. And very quickly, okay, so I'm going to take you over to It's Tough to Be a Bug. And
Ooh. All
right. And you're going, oh, well, I got it. The reason why you're bringing us over there is, wait a minute, Tim Foster, here you go. I'm going to connect you again to Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Seinfeld because Jason Alexander, George, is Weevil Knievel. He's the Acorn Weevil. He's the voice of...
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's funny.
And obviously he was also in what Disney animated feature film?
Who, Jason Alexander?
Yes. Exactly. Hunchback of Notre Dame. He was Hugo.
Oh, yeah. Hugo. That guy.
So, in addition to, but that's not why I brought you there. And I didn't bring you there over for French Stewart from Third Rock from the Sun.
That would be ridiculous.
And I certainly didn't bring you over there for Cheech Marin of Cheech and Chong fame.
Obviously not.
Wait, I'll even connect Cheech and Chong to my all-time favorite television show. I've rewatched it 6 times, and it keeps getting better every single time I see it. Cheech Marin was in Lost. He played Hugo Reyes' dad, David Reyes, in Lost.
Is this a bad time for me to tell you I've never seen that show?
You need to come over. You're moving in because we're watching.
All right. We got a lot. We got a lot of catching up to do.
The reason why I brought you over to Tough to Be a Bug is not for Dave Foley, the voice of Flick. Remember Kids in the Hall? Remember the old Kids in the Hall TV show? The
Vaguely,
show?
yeah.
Dave Foley, that's what. But I'm bringing you over for Hopper because the voice of Hopper is not Kevin Spacey, the original voice of Hopper in A Bug's Life. The voice of Hopper is Andrew Stanton.
Oh, really?
Andrew Stanton from Pixar, Bug's Life, Finding Nemo, Finding Dory, WALL-E, one of the best movies ever. John Carter, not so much. Toy Story, Monsters, Inc. And the reason why is because supposedly, and there's different, you'll find different stories out and about floating around, but supposedly when Kevin Spacey signed on to do A Bug's Life, he explicitly said that he was not going to lend his voice for any toys, any theme park rides, any sequels, nothing. He was like one and done, and I'm out. Which, listen, I'm not going to get too far down deep the Kevin Spacey rabbit hole, but it probably worked out pretty well that Andrew Stanton is his voice.
There you go. Cool. Why would you agree? Well, anyway, like you said.
Everybody's got different reasons for, not doing things. So,
whatever. Hey,
so that's our list. However, I want to quickly acknowledge, because I know that you, our friend, the listener, is screaming, going, my God, Mongello, how do you not mention Johnny Depp? Like, clearly, and I get it.
I actually had Johnny Depp on my list and then crossed it out.
I didn't because it's so obvious. And while I applaud and appreciate him stepping literally into the attraction years ago, dressed up as Jack Sparrow to surprise guests was awesome. It almost was too obvious to be on my list, but I do want to mention it. So I'm going to very quickly go park by park and mention
just on that one though, because I had that often on my list, but while I was looking, I did read a funny quote by him about that. He said something. I think it was jokingly saying he regretted it, but he was saying the reality was like he would do his thing, stand there, and we'd go, "What do you do?" Whatever. And I guess when he first started doing it, people didn't realize there was him. Like they didn't get that that's Johnny Depp. That's someone else. Like people were just sitting there, so he had to like kind of explain. Like it was kind of a little awkward. I thought that was funny.
Right, because they just thought it was a really good actor that looked like Johnny Depp. Because he
right. Wow, those animatronics are really good these days. So it was kind of funny.
All right, so very quickly, park by park, attraction by attraction, we're going to stay in Magic Kingdom, staying at Adventureland. The Enchanted Tiki Room at one point had Don Rickles and Phil Hartman, again, Saturday Night Live, going back to the original Alien Encounter. Don Rickles, Mr. Potato Head, and then like decades of being one of the comedy geniuses. But also Jerry Orbach was the voice of Pierre. Jerry Orbach, the voice of, Lumiere and Beauty and the Beast, and from Law and Order, which I love. Yep. Gilbert Gottfried was obviously Iago. We touched on Alien Counter. A couple of other ones quickly. I'm mentioning Hall of Presidents, not for the presidents' voices themselves, but the current host is Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
And previous hosts, Maya Angelou and J.D. Hall.
Yeah.
Like, very impressive for their own right.
Yeah.
Splash Mountain has a celebrity cameo. Splash Mountain has a celebrity cameo that ties into the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. James Avery. James Avery was Philip Banks in the Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
He was Shredder in TMNT. He was in the Brady Bunch movie. He was in Aladdin. So he passed in 2013, somewhere around there. Legends of the Lion King was in Fantasyland for a number of years.
Wait, what did you do in
Splash
Mountain?
I left it off the list because all of the voices from the film were the voices that, again, they did reprise a role in terms of Robert Guillaume, James Earl Jones, Nathan Lane, Ernie Sabella, Matthew Broderick, Jeremy Irons were all in Legend of the Lion King. Lest we forget, as many people I think want to, Stitch's Great Escape.
No way. You're gonna talk about Stitch's Great Escape?
Only in terms of Sergeant 90210, Richard Kind.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Again, the attraction might not necessarily have
one of the best attractions of all time.
Said no one ever. That's not true. I'm sure that was somebody's.
Come on.
I know.
Come on.
And by the way, Richard Kind was a Jersey guy.
There you go.
But he was in Bug's Life. He did voices in Bug's Life. He did voices in Cars. You probably remember him from the series Mad About You.
That's right. I was trying to place the show he was in.
And are you ready for this? Do you want your mind to be absolutely blown?
Wait, hold on. All right, go ahead.
He has a Julia Louis-Dreyfus connection. Because he started his career in Chicago with the Practical Theater Company, which was founded by one Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Wow. I have to hold on.
While you let that process, I'm going to jump over to Space Mountain. Go ahead.
Wait, real quick. Back to Splash Mountain. What did he do in Splash Mountain?
Oh, he was the voice of Brer Frog.
Brer Frog. There you go. Just want to fill that blank. Awesome.
Before we leave Magic Kingdom, we're going to go back in time. We're going to go back to Tomorrowland and Space Mountain. And in the queue of Space Mountain, it was SMTV. Not only will you find and it's funny because he has an amazing career post Saved by the Bell. And you're going, what? Like, who are you possibly talking about? Mario Lopez was the host of this TV show and these ads that ran in the queue. In addition to Mario Lopez, Glenn Shaddix was in there. You probably know him as Otho from Beetlejuice. He was Ray Cathode. And Charles Fleischer, I almost did a really, really bad Roger Rabbit impression, was Crazy Larry.
Why can't you do your...
I can't. I need to move on. We're going to keep going. Because
the people want it.
No, trust me. Nobody wants that.
All right.
We mentioned Judi Dench in Spaceship Earth. Obviously, if we mention Judi Dench, we have to mention, Walter Cronkite, Jeremy Irons, Larry Dobkin, who you probably don't know from anything else, but Walter Cronkite and Jeremy Irons.
He did a couple of
further narrations than her. A relatively new addition to the list is in the Land Pavilion in a new film called Awesome Planet is Modern Family's Ty Burrell.
Yes. I did get a chance to see that.
So wait, you've seen Awesome Planet, but you haven't, whatever.
No. Well, I mean, I was there in February. I thought I'd be coming back, and I've been back since. So
Okay, very quickly.
I missed a few things.
We can't stay in Epcot without mentioning Mama Say, Mama Sa, Mama Maku Sa, and Michael Jackson as Captain EO. Within that, there is one that was almost a different celebrity cameo. Angelica Houston played the Supreme Leader. Now, when she was first chosen, she actually was not the first choice. Remember, she was relatively unknown there. She won the Academy Award for Prizzi's Honor, but that was released like just before Captain EO actually started shooting. And when Captain EO started shooting, she was not the Supreme Leader. I mentioned that this is going to show that you never listened to WDW Radio.
Right.
Who was originally cast as a Supreme Leader?
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Shelley Duvall.
Ah, a Cheers connection. Yay. We got lots of Cheers.
No.
Not Shelley. I'm sorry you said Shelley. I know
more of a Popeye and Shining connection.
A Shining connection. I had Shelley Long on the brain. So.
Shelley's Long, Shelley Duvall. They look exactly like.
Yeah.
She backed out because the costume was too claustrophobic, so they cast in.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. She also, and Angelica Houston actually was the voice in. There was some like direct to DVD and some TV Tinkerbell franchise things. Angelica Houston lent her voice to that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Very cool.
What else? Test Track. John Michael Higgins. He was Bill McKim. So the original Test Track. Hey, can you bring up the Belgian block road test? That was John Michael Higgins. He was in Arrested Development, Community. Wait.
What?
He was in
What?
Seinfeld. He was
there
in
you
Seinfeld.
Go. Where?
That's
How?
Right.
When?
It was like a walk-on. It was like a one episode thing. I can't even tell you what episode it was. But John Michael Higgins was in Seinfeld. I can't believe how everything comes back to Mel Brooks and Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
If only Julia Louis-Dreyfus could star in a Pixar movie. Oh, wait, she did. That's right.
I'm trying to remember what else he was in.
Who, your Test Track guy?
You know what? I think he was Elaine's boyfriend. That's right. He played Elaine's boyfriend in Seinfeld.
Wait a minute. I'm Googling this.
Yeah, he was.
Well, keep talking.
Okay, I'll keep going. I'm going to quickly go through the rest of what I have. I'll quickly mention Angela Lansbury and the Beauty and the Beast sing along, but again, it's the same role from the film. Going over to Disney's Hollywood Studios, also reprising his role is Paul Rubens as RX-24. He's not your pilot. He's now the DJ, wiki wiki wah, at Oga's Cantina. Pee Wee Herman used to be Captain Rex, and now you know him as RX-24, the DJ at Oga's Cantina.
There you go. I found him, by the way.
Good.
On Seinfeld.
Wait, let's go. As long as we're in Star Tours and Star Wars and over to Star Tours, Allison Janney is the voice of Ali Sansan, the flight attendant droid who gives you the safety guidelines. Thank you. Bye-bye. Allison Janney, she was Peach in Finding Nemo. She was
really?
A lot of people probably know her from The West Wing. I've actually never seen like a single second of it.
No.
What else? Rock and Roller Coaster has Steven Tyler, obviously. Ken Marino is actually, he's one of the engineers in the recording session. And Ileana Douglas from Goodfellas, Cape Fear, Larry Sanders. Wait! Ileana Douglas was in Seinfeld too.
Come on. It all comes back to Seinfeld is what it all comes back to.
Forget this 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. It's 6 degrees of
6
Seinfeld.
degrees of Seinfeld. Yep. That's a show. That's a show right there.
She was in Seinfeld.
That's a show. See what I did? I just said, like, that's a show right there as a bit, like I'm trying to be funny. And in my head, I realized, wait, I got that from Seinfeld. So.
I don't remember what the episode was, but I remember she had like very like orangey, like tan skin or something. I don't remember exactly what.
Oh, wait, who is this again? I think I know you're talking.
Ileana Douglas. And like George.
Is she the one who did she was George's girlfriend.
Yes.
Then he was trying to date someone else. He wanted to break up with both of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, no, George, we're in this for the long.
Right. She refused to give up on the relationship or something.
Yeah. Well, we won't talk about the ruse he used.
Turn your key, Maura. Turn your key.
Turn your key. Maura. Right. Oh, by the way, the guy we were just talking about, John Michael Higgins.
Right.
Yeah. So he was in the episode. He's the one. I think it was the swimmer who shaved his head that Elaine was dating. Right. And they wonder, are you from the future? That's who that was. So I just looked it up.
And if you're not a Seinfeld fan, I apologize.
Then you don't know what we're talking about.
That's right. So I want to quickly go over to Galaxy's Edge. There, for things like Rise of the Resistance, all of the film actors, Daisy Ridley, Oscar Isaac, John Boyega, they're all sort of, bringing back their same roles. However, the voice of Hondo Ohnaka is Jim Cummings.
Oh,
Winnie the Pooh and Tigger too. He's Ray from Princess and the Frog, which I love. So you might not know the voice, but you might know the face, but you never know the voice of Jim Cummings. And the only other one that I had for Disney's Animal Kingdom is two in the same attraction, and it's Dinosaur. And it's Felicia Rashad, Mrs. Claire Huxtable, and Wallace Langham.
Dr. Grant Seeker.
Dr. Grant Seeker, right.
Seeker,
and he was in Larry Sanders Show, Veronica's Closet.
He was on CSI.
CSI, right? CSI, yeah.
That's where my daughter knows him from. So,
CSI is 15 years? 15 CSI has been around a long, long time.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. By the way, you mentioned
Felicia Rashad married to
former
NFL great Ahmad Rashad.
Yeah.
But she's also she's won. She won a Tony. I think she won a Tony, and I think she won an Emmy for the Cosby Show.
Yeah. Sister,
give me your best Felicia Rashad dinosaur
quote. Oh, I don't know. Stay safe. I don't know.
Stay safe.
I don't know. Not unless you talk about the Jerry Lewis cameo in Spaceship Earth. And until you do that, no more impressions out of me.
There's really no Jerry Lewis. So all right. So I think we hit most, if not all of them. And I'm sure if there's some that we missed, please let us know. Again, this was meant to be a top 10. I did want to make sure that I tried to hit some of the more obscure, some of the more interesting ones. I never connected the dots from Mel Brooks and Julia Louis-Dreyfus to the Disney parks, but clearly it runs very wide and deep. Do you have a single favorite celebrity cameo or line from an attraction, past or present?
Me? It's a toss-up between Patrick and Eric. It's got to be Patrick. It's got to be Patrick Warburton.
Well, I now ask the question.
And I'm going.
Sorry?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I want to ask that question to you, our friend.
Not me.
The listener, not you. I've already just asked you. I want to ask our friend who's listening, what is your favorite, for whatever reason, explain why, celebrity cameo, past or present, in Walt Disney World. I'll post this question in the clubhouse at wdwradio.com/clubhouse. That is our group on Facebook. Let me know there. Better yet, call the voicemail. Be heard on the air. I'll play it on upcoming shows at the end of the show. Tell me who your favorite cameo is. If you want to give me your best celebrity cameo impression from a Walt Disney World attraction, have at it. If it's really, really good, I'll send you something. I'll send you a book or a mug. But it's got to be killer. Call the voicemail, 407-900-9391. And as soon as you hang up that phone, and I don't know why I'm doing the phone hang up thing, because nobody hangs up phones like that anymore, and you can't see me. But what you got to do is run on over to celebrationspress.com and Guide to the Magic. Pull up 2 tabs in your browser, because Timmy Foster has so much good stuff and tons of celebrity cameos there.
I'll tell you, before you come on over to Celebrations Press and Guide to the Magic, on Lou's voicemail, I think you should leave your suggestion of what impression you want to hear from Lou. Take a poll, And then you need to give the people what they want. I'm going to call 500 times.
Listen,
you don't like that suggestion, do you?
I'm frightened. I am frightened.
You know.
Just be careful what you wish for. That's all I'm going to say. If you thought that my Jerry Lewis "Hey Lady" was bad, you haven't heard my.
There's more.
Yeah, there's. It's.
Oh, all right. We gotta.
You haven't heard my Judi Dench.
We have to turn this rock.
You haven't heard my Cloris Leachman or.
So, hey, real quick, just a reminder, the new Guide to the Magic book is out. They make great Christmas presents. But you mentioned Jim Cummings earlier. This is some little bit of big news we have. In the next issue of Celebrations, which will be their spring issue, we are going to have an interview with Mr. Jim Cummings in that issue. So we're very excited about that. Yes, my friends. Yes, we are. Very excited. And there are more surprises to come. Hint, hint, wink, wink. But we'll talk about those soon. But big surprises on the way. But that we very excited about the interview. So we're all excited.
That's awesome. I cannot wait. And I can't wait for that.
And lots of more stuff coming.
I can't wait for this surprise tease.
Oh, big surprise. Big surprise. Big surprise. It's like the unveiling of the next episode of Star Wars.
Well, Timmy Foster, I always have fun doing. This was so much more fun than I thought it was going to be.
I surprised you.
It did.
Your surprise actually got at least some of the trivia questions you threw out at me.
I actually don't think you got any of the. I don't even think you got the Boys to Men trivia question right.
I got a couple right, and I didn't Google them this time.
Bon voyage.
I did good, and you owe me dinner 3 times, and we're going to your house for movie night and slumber parties.
It's
that's what we decided. That's what we decided.
I can't wait.
Yes.
All right. So take us out with give me a celebrity impression from a Walt Disney World attraction.
Tower to Soarin'.
How about Soarin' to Tower?
Soarin' to Tower. That's right. Well, I'm trying to think of a putty. I'm done. That's all I got. Please give. I see. I want to hear you, Jerry Lewis. No. I've given enough. You give one. Anybody. It doesn't have to be Jerry Lewis.
But see, I was trying to do Mel Blanc again, but it's so hard. It would be so bad.
Well, do someone else. Do Judi Dench. Give us your Judi Dench.
No, because the ABC thing, it's not my favorite line.
Oh, you are so mad about that. Still.
It's not my favorite line.
We'll work it out. Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie. The future is truly in the past.
Yes.
You just reminded me of a feature that I absolutely love. With the mere touch of a button, the entire process can be reversed. Bon voyage!
It's time for our Walt Disney World Trivia Question of the Week. I invite you to test your knowledge of Walt Disney World's history or see how well you pay attention to the details in what you see, remember, or taste. If you think you know the answer, you can enter for a chance to win an all-new Disney prize package. But before we get to this week's question, we're going to go back, review last week's, and select our winner. So last week I asked you to tell me what or where was the Sunshine State Exhibitorium. And first, thanks to the hundreds of you who entered, got this one correct, or had creative answers, and knew, in a nutshell, that this space was located at the lobby level of Disney's Contemporary Resort. It's where, during the early 1970s, they actually used the space as a movie theater. Now, a little bit of history. If you're familiar with the Fiesta Fun Center, this was the arcade that used to be located in the Contemporary where the Wave currently sits, but that is actually not what was originally in the hotel in this space on opening day. That space was originally built as convention space known as the Sunshine State Exhibitorium, but early on, the demand for convention space at Walt Disney World was not necessarily there because they already had space elsewhere on property in the resort. So they had arcade games and mechanical games and actually a really large shooting gallery as well as a snack bar and a little theater where they would play some Disney films, sometimes for free, sometimes for a small fee. So basically, they originally took this empty and unused convention space, would show free movies there. Eventually, they added arcade games. It became the Fiesta Fun Center, and the convention space was moved upstairs where the convention center was eventually added onto many years later. Anyway, I took all the correct entries, randomly selected one, and again, last week you were playing for a copy of my all-new Disney Interviews book, which you can find at Amazon.com, and for more information, go to DisneyInterviews.com, as well as all of my other digital products, including my 102 Ways to Save Money for and at Walt Disney World book, and my 7 virtual audio walking tours of the Magic Kingdom's history, details, secrets, and stories. Again, you can find all of these at WDW Radio.com, on Amazon, and the audio tours are available on Apple Music. Anyway, last week's winner, randomly selected, is Charles Crouch from Texas. So, Charles, you use the online form. I have your information. We'll get your books and audio tours out to you right away. If you played last week and didn't win, that's okay, because here's your next chance to enter in this week's Walt Disney World Trivia Challenge. So as you heard me say and asked him during our segment, this week I want you to tell me, what is Stupid Judy's last name? So Dr. Judy, as you know from Ellen's Energy Adventure, the final Jeopardy scene, her last name is actually given in the attraction. Do you remember what it was? If so, you have until Sunday, December 20th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern to go to WDWRadio.com, click on this week's podcast, use the form there, and again, you're going to play for a copy of my Disney Interviews book, my 102 Ways to Save Money for and at Walt Disney World book, and all 7 of my virtual audio walking tours of Magic Kingdom. So good luck and have fun. Stupid Judy. Stupid energy. That's going to do it for this week's show. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in this and every week. Please be part of the community and conversation by joining our group over on Facebook at www.radio.com/clubhouse. It's fun, it's free, it's completely family friendly and drama free. There you can talk about not just this week or really any of the shows, but anything in the Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars that you want to chat about. Also be sure and join me every Wednesday night for WDW Radio Live on Facebook. It's my weekly video broadcast and chat with you where I share not only additional conversation about this week's podcast, but my top 5 live 20 questions contest, my Disney Plus pick of the week and conversation, your questions, and so much more. It's every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern at WDWRadioLive.com. Also, don't forget to check out my eBay auctions every Sunday at 9 p.m. 10 new auctions begin and end. This week, got a lot of very cool collectibles going up, including a number of rare and retired Disney collectibles. Everything starts at just $1, and you can find the auctions at WDWRadio.com/eBay. Thanks as always to all of the new and longtime members of the WDW Radio Nation family, including Simon Rubins, Bridget Schultz, Lauren Jozuak, the Whitsons, Ryan Hurley, Gwyn Cornell, Chris Blagg, and Andy Merritt. If you want to find out how you can not only help the show, but get exclusive rewards every month, including scavenger hunts, we have a private Facebook group, trivia quests, backpacks, t-shirts, monthly care packages from Walt Disney World, live video group calls, and lots more. You can visit WDWRadio.com/support. Again, it's completely optional. Starts at as little as $1 a month, but it's not only a great way for you to help show your support for the show, but don't forget that a portion of the proceeds of your contributions do go to our Dream Team project to benefit the Make-A-Wish Foundation of America. To learn more or find out how you can be part of the Nation family, visit WDWRadio.com/support. Also, you can connect with me on social. I am at Lou Mongello on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. You can also call the voicemail at 407-900-9391. That's 407-900-WDW1 with a question, a comment, or just a hello from the parks. And if you have a question you want me to answer on the air, just email me, lou@WDWRadio.com. Please visit LouMongello.com to find out how I can help you turn what you love into what you do with one-on-one mentoring. I'm starting a new mastermind group beginning this January every Tuesday night, limited to just 6 people. And although I know we don't have any in-person events going on right now, you can also find out how I can virtually present to your school, your conference, or your business. Again, visit LouMongello.com. Thanks as always to Becky Menken and the entire team at MouseFan Travel, my official and recommended travel provider for all your vacation planning needs. Visit them at MouseFanTravel.com for a free, no-obligation quote, all available discounts, and most importantly, the highest quality of personal attention and service. At Mouse Fan Travel, you are not just a client, you really are part of their family. And as always, my friend, and you are my friend, whether we have met yet or not, man, I cannot wait till Meet of the Month and events start happening again. But if you like the show, and I hope that you do, please help spread the word. Tweet out that you're listening, share a link on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, tag me to make sure that I see it. And if you can, take just a couple of seconds to rate and review the show over on Apple Podcasts. It's incredibly helpful. And I want to thank some reviewers like Laughing All the Way, who says it's a diamond in the rough. The podcast is the best discovery I've made in years. I look forward to each and every episode full of humor, fun, and great Disney facts. Losing inspiration to follow your dreams, and this podcast radiates the happiness he feels for all things Disney. WDW Radio is an amazing source for history, travel tips, and food. Oh, the food. Laughing All the Way, and everyone else who's left a recent review, thank you so much again. Just search for WDW Radio on Apple Podcasts or go to wdwradio.com/iTunes for instructions and a link in exactly how and where to do it. I hope that you enjoyed this week's show. I hope to see you this Wednesday for the live show. And I hope at the very least the show has made your day happier, inspired you to be a little bit better, and brought a little bit of positivity to your day and to your week. And that you, as a result of that, you don't just choose the good and find the good in everything, but you be the good and you pass that positivity along to others. Positivity is contagious, it is valuable, and it won't just make you feel better, but it'll make somebody else feel better as well. I hope that this really is your best week ever. So until next time, thank you again. I love and appreciate you. See ya. Oh, and P.S. Save the date. February 26th, 2021. Stay tuned.
Hi, Lou and Becky. It's Elizabeth from Massachusetts. I am actually not even done, but I just got so excited listening to your most recent episode about the Riviera Resort that I had to call midway through. You guys are doing a fantastic job. Just so everyone knows, if you have not been there, visited, stayed there, dined there, everything Becky and Lou just said about the resort is spot on. It is absolutely gorgeous. One thing that I just wanted to call in and chime in about is out of all the resorts, and Lou mentioned this, that we've waited so long for a new resort, and this one, if I were to describe it in a word, is so just well done. The story is there. The pictures of the family traveling when they were alive is there. The European-esque feel that you get there. My family's from Europe, so I've traveled in Europe a lot. You don't feel like you're in Disney World, and that is just we all know Disney does an awesome job with immersion, but that's a part of this that I just fell in love with. I also think the location, not even on the Skyliner, which is amazing, but having it right out of Epcot, guys, if you ever can stay there, end your day in France, in the France Pavilion, go over and then end your day just in the like small little nooks and crannies of the Riviera. You literally will feel like you're not on this continent. And I think it's cool and storytelling-ish in its own sense that the resort itself is so close to that spot in Epcot, and also the Caribbean beach, which has French vibes too, if you will. So I just think that the Imagineers and Disney and the job they did with location, with the storytelling, with the rooms, with the art that you guys mentioned, the art is amazing, and I want every single mosaic mural there in my house. Is just spot on. So I love these resort reports. I'm so excited for more of them. And yeah, you guys are doing an awesome job, and I can't wait to finish listening. Hope everyone's doing well and had a happy Thanksgiving. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Hey, Mr. Lou Mongello. This is Brian from St. Augustine, Florida. I just got done listening to 612 Disney Treasures. That was incredible, man. All of the feels in that episode. Of course, I can tell you my extensive comic book Captain America collection that I still, every Wednesday, still go New Comic Book Day and still get paper comics and love all that, and my Star Wars collection as a kid. But my Disney treasure is from when I lived in New York in 1989. My parents and I flew down to Florida to Disney World for a week and got my grandmother a gift of a Mickey Mouse plush, a small Mickey Mouse plush. They even had a tail on it. It was great. And I brought it back to her, and I gave it to her, and she thought it was the greatest thing ever. And when I was 16 years old, when she had passed away, she still had that Mickey Mouse plush that she left on her bed. Every time she made her bed in the morning, she would put that in front of her pillows, and when she had passed away, that was the one thing that I said, hey, I don't care what you guys do with anything else. I just want that plush. So the plush was given back to me, and now that's displayed in my man room on a bookcase. So then, and my kids come and ask me, and they say, well, what's with this? Or, or friends come over. I have this great story to tell about my grandmother saving this and just, making her happy. And now it's coming back and coming full circle. So those are the kind of things that I think it's more sentimental for a lot of us as far as collecting goes nowadays, and just, and the thrill of the hunt. That's fun. But the sentimental and the heart is what actually matters. So I appreciate this episode. You did a great job. It really brought me back, and had some emotional moments just thinking about some of the things, especially with your father. So I appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Love you guys. Bye.
Hey, Lou. It's Christine Morrison from Flowertown, Pennsylvania. I was just listening to your resort review with Becky and Lincoln. I am on my way to do some walks today. It's a little bit chilly in Pennsylvania. And I am super, super excited and just had to share that my trip is in 37 days. We will be at the Beach Club Villas thanks to Jackie York from Mouse Fan Travel. She, like you were saying, you book it and then any discounts that come out, they apply it. So she got in touch with me and said, hey, I can upgrade you to a one-bedroom villa for cheaper than what you're booked at now, and that's a no-brainer. So that's the benefit of getting in touch with MEI, Mouse Fan Travel, because they know what they're doing. Anyway, I'm super excited because my kids have never stayed in a luxury resort before. I'm so looking forward to seeing the look on their faces when they experience what we have planned. We are going to Boat House. Woohoo! Our first day there, we land, we get situated at the hotel, and go down to Disney Springs and experience the Boat House. I thought you'd like to know that. And I want to get them on the Skyliner, which I've done once. It's amazing. I'm just so looking forward to helping them see that there's more to Disney than going on rides. So excited. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. So everybody have a nice day. I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow night. And make somebody smile. There's always a reason to be thankful. Take care. Bye-bye.